Hey friends, we're here in the new studio, and today we are live and we are talking local real estate investing strategies, local news with my good friend Jordan Elsen, who's an ex-professional golfer. And today we're going to get a unique perspective on real estate and golf. Palm Beach County is one of the biggest areas for golf, has the most golf courses in this county, and then more than any other county in the country. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And Jordan is a big producer, did over $21 million last year in production. So we're happy to have you, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, your golfing career. I want to hear a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, well, I'm a northern transplant from Wisconsin, so it's always nice to be around a fellow Midwesterner, being from Michigan. So came down from Wisconsin after graduated college there, played at University of Wisconsin-Madison, the Badgers. So was there for 4 years, finished up in 2010, and it was my dream to play professional golf. I mean, I wanted to play the PGA Tour more than anything. So when I was 14, went to a boarding school, and it was from 14 to 30, it was golf, 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 golf. I would eat, sleep, and breathe, train for golf, wanted to be on the PGA Tour. So after college, came down here, turned professional, played some mini tours, bumped around, went broke a few times, and needed to make some money. So I caddied at some courses here in Palm Beach County, Seminole Golf Club being the coolest one that I caddied at.
Nice.
And just fell in love with Palm Beach County, the lifestyle, how golf is an integral part of Palm Beach County, and just didn't want to go back to that snowy, cold Wisconsin. So was just in awe of the properties, oceanfront properties, golf course communities, and just love the lifestyle. So it was an easy thing to get excited about, transitioning into real estate, because the product is so unique and so cool, and just love the lifestyle. Very easy to sell, for sure.
Yeah, and who knows better than pro golfer that you've been on many of these golf courses before, what's good and what's not good, and so you have a unique perspective.
Definitely.
So actually, Seminole's a pretty great course. It's right down the road here.
Fantastic.
Tell us about Seminole, because everybody talks about, and I like to golf, but I'm terrible at golfing, and I don't know a lot about the different courses and all that stuff. But everybody talks about how Seminole's like the most exclusive club, and it has all this notoriety to it. But what's the whole deal with Seminole?
So rich in history. I mean, I believe it's a Donald Ross design. Donald Ross has designed some of the world-renowned golf courses, very unique design and very unique piece of property. It's right on the ocean in Juno Beach. It's oceanfront. Yep. I believe it's ranked somewhere around 13 to 11 in the U.S. top 100 courses.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very prestigious club and a very tough club to get into as a member. There's waiting lists extensively and very tough to get in. But, just the whole golf experience, the location of the golf course, the design of the golf course. They've made some fantastic changes there, and it's in immaculate shape now. And just the membership too. When I was carrying 2 bags, caddying there, we got to really meet some fantastic people and some of the most very successful people that in New York and different finance and real estate, and really got around an exciting environment, and just people that you can learn from. So Seminole, great golf club, fantastic location, and just great people. I mean, it's really a pleasure just to be on those grounds at that golf course. Yep.
And talk about like Palm Beach County. So like I just mentioned how there's I was reading these stats earlier, how Florida has over 1,200 golf courses in the state, and 160 of them are in Palm Beach County, which has the most it's most in one county than in the entire country. So talk about that. Why is Palm Beach County the place?
Well, the Palm Beach County, the golf mecca of the U.S. I mean, like you said, over 160 golf courses. I just think Jack Nicklaus, I believe, is a huge part of that. This was his home, and being in Lost Tree, and Arnold Palmer had Bay Hill and in Orlando, and I think Jack was a huge attributor to what Palm Beach County is, and just what golf is to the area. I mean, there weren't many golf courses here, a few years ago in terms of, over the years, it's just developed tremendously.
Yep.
So it goes hand in hand. Sunshine, the ocean, golf.
Like what's not to love?
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful area, and just, so much attracts you to this area.
And you're constantly hearing about like all these pro golfers that live here locally, like Tiger Woods and all these people that are buying on like Jupiter Island and in Jupiter and throughout Palm Beach County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the amount of PGA Tour players and LIV Tour players now, and just, from Greg Norman back in the day to, Tiger, Rory, Brooks, DJ. I mean, there's a ton of world-class golfers that call Jupiter and Palm Beach Gardens home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just look at that, like Jupiter Inlet, the color of that water, it's just, I just love Jupiter. It's just such a great place.
And I think it's, it's a great oasis also. Those PGA Tour guys are on the road 30, 35 weeks out of the year.
Yeah.
Traveling as much as they do, coming home to paradise, with easy access to the ocean in Jupiter, and just the, little bit more laid back lifestyle and vibe that Jupiter has to offer. Compared to a Miami and areas like that, I think attracts a lot of those full-time professional golfers and golf enthusiasts.
So if you're a single guy, then you live in Miami. If you got the family, then you're going to live in Jupiter.
If you're going back and forth from New York quite often, and you like the pace of New York, I think Miami is a good, easy transition from that fast-paced lifestyle. But I tell you, we've a ton of New Yorkers and people from Long Island, and now even people from Chicago and the Midwest. The secret's out. Northern Palm Beach County, and really all of Palm Beach County, has attracted a lot of eyeballs over the last few years.
100%. So when it comes to real estate, like you have in Palm Beach County, we have a ton of like club communities. So, they're private communities. Some have membership fees, some don't. Some have mandatory memberships, some have optional memberships. There's a whole different bunch
different
of
levels of membership. Levels. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I remember just a few years ago, maybe like pre-COVID, where there's a lot of talk like, wow, these club communities are going to be a thing of the past because all the younger kids don't want to be involved with a club community. And then all of a sudden, like all these club communities are like on waiting lists. There's no inventory. You can't even get into them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's your opinion on golf club communities and the future of golf club communities?
Yeah, well, I think the pandemic certainly had a lot to do with the crazy demand to be in these golf course communities. Really, before COVID, a lot of these golf course communities, the initiation fees were much lower than they currently are now. A lot of the clubs were, hurting financially. They weren't full. They weren't necessarily doing all that well. And then, COVID hit, and, all these high populated areas, your Chicago, New York, Boston, areas that, you're sharing walls, commutes via the subway and whatnot, those were congested, and people couldn't use those means for transportation. So, implementing then Zoom and, working from home, people saw, okay, well, if we're working from home and we do everything on Zoom, let's go to Florida. And I think golf course communities being able to be outside and enjoy the sunshine and still work from home, work a few hours from home, and then be able to go outside and enjoy the sunshine, get out of the cold, and really be outside. I think, people saw that lifestyle, and it just became much more attractive. So these golf course communities really reap the benefits of the increased demand from the pandemic and people moving down here. And that's when things got very crazy in terms of inventory being really, really low. Demand, still a lot of these communities, Mirasol, it's tough to get a full golf membership in a community like that. I mean, communities that have homes that have, golf memberships directly tied to those homes, the values of those homes went up substantially. So, versus, Mirasol is a great community and, one of the many great golf course communities here, but they offer, a social membership. A house has a designated social membership versus another one has a golf membership. And when a golf membership house comes on the market, it goes like that because you either have to wait, you get on the waiting list with the social membership, or you go right to the front of the line with the golf membership, and people put a high value on being able to, jump right to the front of the line. So, all these clubs, Admiral's Cove, Frenchman's Reserve, Mirasol, they really just went crazy during the pandemic, and still in high demand.
And what does a golf membership like? And those clubs, like what do they cost typically?
Yeah, I mean, I believe Admiral's Cove now is right around $250,000 initiation for full golf. Frenchman's Creek is very close. I believe Mirasol is right around, I want to say 170 now for golf.
Is that like a deposit, or you get that back?
Well, every club's a little different with what the initial initiation fee is for the golf, as well as what what is refundable after you close or after you sell the property. So every community is different. So when you're in your due diligence period or when you're researching for homes in the area, it's good to know what would be refundable after you sell the house, and what's due initially up front, and a lot of that impacts the values in those communities as well.
Plus, you have to pay either monthly or quarterly or annual dues on top of that, right?
Yep.
And that on top of the HOA dues.
Your membership dues and HOA dues and any food and beverage minimums, things like that. So,
got to pay to play.
Yeah, you pay to play for sure. And, when there's very limited supply, as the pay to play becomes much higher.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what makes, like, from a golfer's perspective, you played on probably thousands of courses all over the country and internationally. From a golfer's perspective, what makes a course a great course, or a club, like a club and a course? Like, what makes that great?
I believe the course design is a huge aspect to the overall enjoyment of a golf course.
And what would make a design?
Yeah, unique. Unique and fair design. There's some courses that are incredibly difficult, where the fairways are fast, and there's lots of water, and there's lots of bunkers, and the greens are incredibly firm and fast, and it's incredibly difficult, right? And you remember that because the conditions were perfect. It was really hard, but man, I don't know if I want to do that every day because that was so difficult. It wasn't that enjoyable.
Right.
So there are a few of those clubs, but everybody puts a different value on what they want out of a club. Some people will want a place that has 36 holes. I want to have 2 golf courses, and I want a course that has a great practice facility. I want a golf course that I can have my 14-year-old, my 15-year-old come out and they can go play and use the facilities, and I don't have to necessarily be there. There's every club has its unique rules and membership experience. There's certain clubs that have better players, maybe more single-digit handicappers, like a Bear Lakes, for instance, which is a private club. It's a club that you join. There's people who live on Palm Beach, West Palm, even northern Palm Beach County, southern Palm Beach County, that drive to play at Bear Lakes. And Bear Lakes has, I believe, the most single-digit handicap golfers in the country. Now, they have 500 members, but I believe they have over 150 single-digit handicap golfers. So if you're looking for a golf club that has a lot of great golfers, and you can always get a game and you play with as many great golfers and play with different players, then that's a great club for you. So everybody has their, what they value out of a club. So, if you want somewhere where the course is really difficult and you don't care about the initiation fees, then, maybe we steer you towards a Medalist or a MacArthur, and those places have waiting lists now. But if that is what you value, then we steer you in that direction. But if it's something you want to live in the gates, have a golf cart at your house, be able to just go to the range, and have 2 golf courses and something a little bit less strenuous in terms of difficulty of a golf course, maybe we bring you to a Mirasol or an Admiral's Cove, depending on your budget. And, just what you value. So there's so many factors into choosing the right club for somebody,
Yep.
and ultimately what's going to mesh well with what they value and what they want. So
It's interesting. I never thought about a lot of those things, like depending on where you're at in your golf game or if you have a family. Like some people just want the club to have good community. You know, you want the social part of it. You want a good course. Some people are just hyper competitive,
right,
and want to compete, and they want a tough course, or they want, you know, the
or they
top
want
tier
big clients there.
instructors.
Yeah, great, you know,
take
great
clients.
instructors, or you don't want something where I can bring my clients from New York and you know, they're going to really love the experience. You know, it just depends. It depends on what the person values and you know, ultimately what they want to spend, and you know, we do our best to fit them in the right spot for them.
What's the big difference with all the designs of the courses? Like you always hear like Jack Nicklaus design and Pete Dye design and Donald Ross, which is just a street over here named after him.
Yep.
Like what's the big deal? Or like is there a difference with each design? Like they have their own kind of style?
Definitely unique styles for each individual designer. Now, Donald Ross, he designed golf courses all over the country in the early 1900s. And I grew up on a Donald Ross course in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Donald Ross is known for you know, having some dog legs, having some elevation change, having some small greens, usually sloped from back to front, and some undulations and some different things. So, you know, he has a unique style there. And Jack Nicklaus, you know, a lot of his early golf courses, like Maiku Lakes, which is his first golf course design in Florida and his fifth ever. It's my home course, and we hear stories of how difficult it used to be. Back in the day, it was tree-lined, and it had dog legs, and it was just a very difficult golf course. And it's still difficult. It's narrow. But, you know, he's designed courses all over the country. Yeah. And he has I've played Jack Nicklaus courses that were very different from the other Jack Nicklaus course. So I think he does a really good job of course design and really fitting the golf course around the beautiful piece of property that he's handed. Yeah. You know, he was a natural fader of the ball, so a lot of people like to say there's quite a few left to right holes that he designs, and vice versa with Arnold Palmer. He was a drawer of the ball, so he would work a lot of holes dog leg right to left because he liked seeing the ball, you know, travel that way. Mm-hmm. So, but everybody's different. You know, Gil Hans, Cord Crenshaw has different styles. Everybody has a unique style. And the last one I'll mention is Pete Dye. He's designed courses all over the country, and I remember playing in college at Crooked Stick, which is in Indiana. And one of the things Pete Dye likes to do is visually off the tee, he'll maybe raise a little bit of piece of property or a bunker over on the left side or the right side of the fairway to almost intimidate you off the tee. But in reality, when you hit it over that, there's actually more room than it looks like up there. So, you know, those are small little details that you see with you know, Pete Dye design or, you know, a Donald Ross design. So that's what makes golf so fun, so unique. All these beautiful properties and different courses all over the country.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. And there's so many good ones down here. And, you know, let's sticking on the real estate topic. You know, so let's talk a little bit about, you know, what are you seeing right now for houses that are selling quickly? Because it seems like in this market, like we're having clients putting offers in on properties where there's like multiple offers and like there's 10 offers and then there's properties sitting on the market. So like, I mean, in your opinion, what are you seeing right now in the market? Like if a seller is looking to sell their house, what would help them sell that house quickly? Like what are the houses that are selling quickly in this market?
Things that are selling quickly are things that need minimal work. I think people really like to move into something and have it move-in ready. So, you know, if you really want to maximize your exposure and the amount of buyers that are going to be looking at your property when you first initially market it, I think it would be great to maybe update that bathroom or, you know, change the cabinets or redo the kitchen and really maximize its value, because we're still in a very low inventory environment historically. And, you know, the things that are ready to go and in great condition are still moving pretty quickly and at, you know, high numbers. You know, we've a lot of areas in the country, as you know, values have decreased somewhat, but here in South Florida, still in a low inventory environment, and year over year, we still have seen a little increase in a lot of these neighborhoods. So depends on the neighborhood, depends on the house, but I'd say overall, if it's move-in ready, it's more than likely going to sell at that higher number.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it also seems like the roof is a big situation right now with like Citizens changing their guidelines and all that, where they're only insuring properties that have at least 5 years left on the roof. And so, you have a lot of homes down here with older roofs, and, that's a big issue because a lot of people don't want to buy a house and throw a $30,000 roof on it.
Well, especially you feel like you're already paying a high price for a property, and, knowing that you're going to have to budget again for $25,000, $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 roof, it makes that less attractive. So, but, it's beggars can't be choosers still in this market. I mean, there's not that much available still. Yeah. So
what would you say, like, what would be some mistakes to avoid if you're a first-time home buyer? So you're just getting into the market. Like, what are some things that you're like, listen, just don't make that mistake?
I would say, first-time home buyers, not over leveraging yourself in terms of your budget and your level of comfortability. I think, getting into your first home and, whether it be, you're looking for a nice space, or you have a dog and you want, that backyard space, still finding something that's within your budget that's not going to make you stress. Yep. Because as you know, real estate goes up and down. And, if this is a property you want to hold on to for a number of years, then, we'll find you something that, it's going to maintain its value and ultimately fit your needs, but not, make you uncomfortable. Yep. That if there's any, economic change or any shift in the market, down the road, that you feel the heat. So I think really staying within your means is important for first-time home buyers. When you get that first initial pre-approval and it says, oh, you're pre-approved up to $800,000, you don't have to buy that $800,000 house. Let's look at something that's, $600,000 or $500,000 or whatever budget we're working with, and see, what would be a good investment if you want to hold on to it as a rental property. Yep. Or, if it's, something you want to use for a few years and then trade into, what's going to hold its value really well. So I think it's important just to, weigh those things and just make sure you don't over leverage yourself or you're losing sleep at night.
Yeah, it's a natural habit. I see it a lot. So when we sit down with a client, we do their loan consultation. I always ask them, before I tell them how much they're pre-approved for, I ask them the question, so tell me about what payment range you'd like to stay within. Yeah. And so usually the client's like, oh, we really were talking about it, and we feel like, $3,000 to $3,500 a month with everything would be perfect.
Comfortable, right.
And then meanwhile, they're applying for like an $800,000 loan. And it's like, well, yeah. So with tax and insurance, you're probably going to be closer to like $4,500, $5,000. And then it's interesting to see their reaction, because sometimes people, the more conservative would be like, okay, cool, let's lower the price down. We really want to stay within this budget. But then you have a lot of people, I would say the majority of people are like, yeah, we could go a little higher. Right. So it's like one of those things. But I agree with you. I always applaud clients when they stay within budget. I always tell them, like, listen, I think this is a wise choice. Yeah. Because it's not your first home is typically not your forever home. No. But get your foot in the door, start building appreciation. Your loan's going to amortize. It's going to go down. You're going to create this equity, and then you can roll that into the next property. Yeah. And you're tax-free up to $250,000. So
absolutely.
But just get your foot in the game. Door.
Yep. Get in the game.
But I'm with you. It's like, stay conservative. It's always better to err on the side of being conservative, having more reserves at closing, a little bit lower payment so you can still enjoy your life. You're not shelling out this massive payment every single month.
Shelling out this, and then, then you can't do the things that you maybe like to do on the weekends, or maybe go take that trip, when you do have time off. It's just good to have that comfortability for sure.
From a realtor's perspective, tell me about why is it important to get pre-approved?
Well, you got to know what you're working with budget-wise. I made the mistake early in my career. I had a good friend who was looking for a house, and, it's like, all right, well, what's your budget, right? And I was just getting in the business, so I, didn't know that, okay, well, we should really get him pre-approved first, because then we really know what he's working with and what what they can handle.
Yep.
You know, it's like, all right, well, let's go look at some houses. I think my budget's about 500,000, right? So we're setting up these showings, and you know, we like a house, and he wants to put in an offer, and you learn pretty quickly that if you're, you know, submitting an offer with financing, the listing agent is going to want some kind of pre-approval letter or proof of funds, whatever way the deal's structured, and you know, you need that pre-approval letter. So, you know, it's just good to get pre-approved, know what you're working with, then look at some properties that are within your budget, maybe adjust, or maybe look a little bit lower and say, you know what, this is what we value. We need 3 bedrooms. You know, we need a little bit of space for the dog in the back. You know, we can maybe go a little bit lower, but these are the things that are important to us. And it's just, you have to know what you're working with, and, you know, what you qualify for.
I would say that I probably see that with newer agents. Like the number one mistake for newer agents is not getting their clients pre-approved before showing properties.
Yeah.
Because they'll show properties all around Palm Beach County and find out either A, they don't qualify for that, or the client's just uncomfortable with the payment. They're like, oh, I'm not going to have a $4,000 a month payment. I wanted a $2,000 a month payment. Well, if you want $2,000 a month, you can't look at $500,000 houses. So.
Exactly. And that's, you know, hey, real estate's one of those things. You know, I knew very little about real estate when I got into the business. I was, you know, I knew that Palm Beach County had beautiful homes, and you know, would be excited to sell these multi-million-dollar homes and just help anybody at any price point. But, you know, you learn that, you know, this is step one, and, you know, get pre-approved, know what you're working with. And, you know, every agent, you know, either learns that the hard way, or they have somebody, they leverage maybe a mentorship or somebody on their team who can take them under their wing and kind of show them the ropes. So.
Yeah. Love it. Tell me a little bit about, you know, technology as it relates to real estate. Have you seen any like advancements in like the technology people are using in real estate? Are people using like AI or, you know, Chat GPT, or like people using this yet in real estate? Or you think it's kind of a little early?
I think certainly social media is in videos, and just, you know, establishing some level of trust with somebody you've never met before based on what you post, what you maybe run ads for, what you put on Facebook and Instagram, what kind of value you're adding, and getting in front of a camera and just talking to somebody, and they watch your video and they've never met you before. And, you know, they hear you add some value, and they appreciate that value, and there's a level of trust that increases when you've never met somebody before. So I think in terms of technology, having that ability to post a video and add some value to somebody and say, oh, you know what, that's a really good point. You know, I want to work with that guy. You know, I really like what he has to say. He's professional. You know, he's a golfer too. He knows a lot about golf. Maybe he can help me with my game. But, you know, I want to work with him. So I think social media, video is certainly an important aspect, in having some online presence and leveraging technology that way. Yep. But I know a lot of agents that don't necessarily do a lot of social media and do really well also. Right. So I think, you know, there's certainly a number of lead generation tools and different modes of technology, levels of technology to help agents excel in this business. Social media being one, video, and, you know, other online lead generation tools to maybe get property owners information and be able to reach out to them, send mailers, make a phone call, things like that. Yeah,
I love it. And I mean, you have a great brand, and I think that's really, really good. Is you know, you have to set your brand. Like, you got to tell the community, you know, who you are, what you stand for, and you do that through your posts and what's online. And, you know, so you got to be very careful of like your online presence, you know, what people post about you, what are your reviews saying? Are you asking your clients for reviews? And, you know, because if somebody refers you to an agent, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to Google your name, and it's going to pull up any videos or pictures or any reviews that you have online. So it's super important.
Very important. Incredibly important. I mean, we learned that initially right out of college when we were at Wisconsin. We had, you know, our freshman orientation for student athletes, and they said, do not post stuff like this online, right? And
no keg stands
right, no keg stands, no stuff like that.
Yeah.
Keep it clean, keep it professional. And I think it's the same way in real estate. And ultimately, the beautiful thing about real estate is you can generate business around things that you love to do, whatever that is, and having common ground and mutual interests with your clients and with people that you meet for the first time. You can establish that connection around things that you love. And ultimately, maybe you go play golf with them again, and you help them with their real estate needs. If not, you still both have a mutual love for golf, and there's no pressure there. So I think you can generate business around things that you love to do, whether that's at the gym, going out to dinner and meeting people there, or just being around golf or tennis and things like that. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got to enjoy the ride. And man, if you can make money while doing stuff that you love to do, then it's a great life.
Absolutely. And having that brand, like you said, having the brand around things that you like to do, as well as, showing that professionalism.
Yep.
Yep.
So I like to train Muay Thai, but I'm trying to figure out how I can incorporate that into mortgages. So So I wanted to touch on a couple news stories, like local news stories. One of them is Panther National, this big course that's going just west here in North Lake, not too far away, maybe 5 miles west.
Yep.
So Panther National Palm Beach Gardens will extend over 400 acres surrounded by a 2,400-acre conservation area and will eventually include 218 custom home estates with an impressive array of luxury amenities. Properties are going to range from like 4 to 12 million. Championship golf course promises challenging elevations, which is kind of interesting, and features unlike none in the state. So it's going to be interesting to see how they design the course. Have you read up on Panther National, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, read up a good amount on it. Haven't visited the site just yet, but knowing that Jack Nicklaus and Justin Thomas are co-designing and working on that together, I think it's just going to be a great addition for Palm Beach County, certainly. There's this high demand to be in these golf course communities, and even though we have over 160 some odd, there's still waiting lists and they're full, so there's still a demand for these high-end communities. So that being more inland, still not too far from the ocean, but being able to be in a very high-end community with a really great golf course design and a world-renowned practice facility, and be in this luxury environment that I've heard is going to be a little bit more laid back and a little bit more relaxed environment, I think is going to be a very unique and exciting product for the area.
When I was kind of reading up on that, I'm like, it kind of sounds like Old Palm, where you have like these super expensive homes, really nice golf course. But in this case, I think they're going to make it more like laid back. I don't know what that means, like T-shirt and flip flops on the golf course. I believe
so.
Or?
I remember the initial call I had with the developer. And, he just saying, hey, we've got this project going on. It's going to be very laid back, somewhat of a Baker's Bay feel in the Bahamas, and just a relaxed environment. And I think that, it fits well with what Palm Beach County has to offer and what, northern Palm Beach County has to offer. A little bit more of a, relaxed, enjoyable, enjoy life kind of vibe.
Do you think the younger golfers that's what they're looking for? Or do you just think the golf course community in general, they're looking for something different like that?
I think as a younger golfer, time is very important, and resources are very important also. So being able to grow the game inexpensively and be able to go to a drive shack or a Top Golf and, spend an hour and, a couple $100 to hit a few balls and have some great food and just enjoy, getting some swings in and not necessarily having to go to the golf course, play 9 holes, spend 2 hours, or play 18 holes and spend, 4 hours. I think it's important, especially with people with young families and, time constraints and very limited windows of opportunity to get around golf, that, they have these great ways to be around golf and, not have to spend a great amount of time to get a few swings in or hit a few putts and hit a few chips. So
like the one in like West Palm, what's it called? The Park?
Park, yep. Yep.
But
Fantastic.
It's like, kind of young, modern, hip. They got a 9-hole course.
Yep.
They got kind of like a top golf setup.
They've got a 9-hole putting course that they change every single day. They change the layout of that, which is awesome. And they've got a wedge course that's lit up until 9 o'clock, and fantastic wedge course. Shots from in between 50 yards to 100 yards. And the last hole is a really long, I'd say about 100-foot putt that you hit. That's, the finishing hole. So, having that, you can go play that in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and just get some swings in and work on the short game. They've got a nice chipping area there. They've got great tacos and quick food at the bar restaurant there. And not to mention the fantastic 18-hole golf course that they have there. I mean, it's such a great addition to Palm Beach County, and people maybe have a limited amount of time, they can still get there and be around the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And actually in other new courses, there's news just released. Tiger Woods and Justin Timberlake are going to back a 600-acre Palm Beach County project, which is out in Wellington. It's a redesign of a golf course out there. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, I believe it's in Palm Beach Polo. It was an original Pete Dye design, and it is a championship layout. It is a big golf course. I believe it stretches well over 7,000 yards, and it's great design. I've played it one time, and you can tell, back in the 80s and the 90s when it was developed and in its heyday, they had 54 holes there. And now two of the golf courses are now preserve areas. They let those go, and they still have the one golf course, but you can tell the condition isn't there. It doesn't get a ton of play, but for some maybe new ownership to come in, revamp it, redesign it, make some changes, and bring it back to its glory, I think it would be fantastic for Wellington, which is a huge equestrian area. Yeah. But still, I know a lot of equestrian people that love to play golf, and to have a championship golf course in fantastic condition would be great.
Nice. Yeah, well, that's going to be sweet. And then got to ask you this question too. So all over the news, obviously, is the PGA and LIV merger deal. The New York Times story, their headline was PGA and LIV merger deal increases Saudi Arabia's influence in golf. So what's the what's your opinion on this whole merger deal, and what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, my thoughts on the situation is it's good to get the best players in the world all back together again. I think that's important for the quality of events throughout the year, and just bringing everybody together again, which I think is important. I think I wasn't crazy about the LIV product personally. It was certainly a new way to grow the game, get a different perspective on the game, the team style, and things like that. So, I get it maybe appeals to a different audience. And, me being a competitive golfer, used to playing 54 holes, 72 holes of golf for a tournament, I was certainly more attracted to the original, PGA product. But I think overall, it's going to be great to have all the best players in the world together again. Yep. You look at the quality of the majors, the Masters earlier this year, the U.S. Open going on right now, a lot of eyes and a lot of excitement when all those players come back together again. So I think it'll be great moving forward to have, those players competing on a regular basis again. I don't know a ton about the specifics of the deal, but I know somebody I look up to tremendously, Mr. Jimmy Dunn, who's the club president at Seminole. Anything that he's involved in, I'm sure will be structured in a very thorough and fair and mutually beneficial way for everybody. So, I think it'll be great for the game just to get everybody back together again.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Well, I got a couple rapid fire questions for you. So, you got to think quick on these.
Rapid, let's go.
All right. Favorite golf course?
Seminole.
Favorite business book?
The $1 Million Real Estate Agent.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Lunch with one person, dead or alive?
My dad.
Nice. Use one club for all 18 holes. What would it be?
Oof. 7-iron. You never miss with a 7-iron.
Favorite brand of driver?
Titleist.
Favorite sports team?
The Packers. Green Bay.
There you go. Best business advice you ever got?
Best business advice, I'd say, be humble and, treat others the way that you want to be treated. Because ultimately, I'm in a service business. But, if you genuinely look out for your client's best interests, I think that only serves you greatly.
Nice. Favorite local restaurant?
Favorite local restaurant, I would say Food Shack. That sweet potato crusted fish is fantastic.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wedding date?
We're actually going to look at a couple wedding venues down in the Keys this weekend. Yeah. So
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And housing market prediction crystal ball, the Jordan Elsen crystal ball for the end of this year, December 31st, 2023. Is the market up, down, sideways, even?
I'd say there's a lot of people locked in at a very low interest rate, as I'm sure being in the lending business. So I think we are going to be in a pretty low inventory environment here in South Florida for a while, which is going to impact prices. Everybody's talking about a recession coming and this and that. I think Florida, there's certainly a high demand to be in Florida, whether that be, a seasonal demand, people retiring. They're maybe up north half the year, down here half the year. They're going to have homes. And the way West Palm's going with all the companies that have moved here in the finance world, I think there's a lot of demand for Palm Beach County and South Florida. So, unless there's a major economic shift, I think prices are going to remain flat, and inventory is going to be in a similar place. We won't see a huge increase in inventory unless there's a massive economic collapse. But I don't I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we're in a pretty good spot here in South Florida.
Awesome. Well, I enjoyed our time together.
Yeah,
this
thanks
is really
for having
good
me.
stuff. Listen, if anybody has any questions on golf course communities, we're going to put Jordan's information below. He also has a really awesome newsletter, so you should send him an email and see if you can get added to that. And he's just a wealth of information, so we appreciate you having on, Jordan.
Thanks for having me, and I apologize for the casual dress. In shorts, got to go play golf with clients this afternoon. So
rough life.
Yeah. Golf and real estate. Two
That's it.
things I love.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate it.